What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time around here, your boy. Okay, guys, this is your boy Matt Murdoch, back again with my trusty plant, Gus. He's the inspiration for a lot of my ideas. Today we're talking about a real, absolute of an injury, which is Achilles tendinopathy. Achilles tendinopathy is one of the most debilitating injuries you can get. It affects everyone who plays a lot of major sports like running, basketball, football, netball, anything to do with jumping, quick movement, anything like that. It will perhaps creep up on you at one point in time. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how I got rid of it after 5 years of having it. Step one, and something that's really important, is you've got to choose the right physio. Now, sounds obvious, but I went through, I think 7 or 8 physios before I settled on the chap that I used to help me get rid of it. Because there's that sort of adage, what do you call a physio with a third-class honours degree? Well, a qualified physio. It's like anything, when you've had an injury for a long time, you start to educate yourself about the etiology of it, what my specific problem was, and how I can get rid of it. There are a lot of bad physios out there, and you've got to choose the right one to help you get better. Otherwise, unfortunately, that's what happened to me. I ended up going through a lot of people who we weren't really making progress. What I suggest you do is pick a physio that specialises in lower limb injuries. There are a lot of physios who, when you Google physiotherapy in your area, you'll be met with a lot of search results, particularly if you live in a large city and it's hard to know who to go for. For example, the chap that helped me get over it in the end, he exclusively dealt with knee and Achilles injuries, and that's all he did. He was a specialist running physio, and his speciality helped me get over it in the end. The reason why you need to pick a specialist is, like anything, they will be much more adept at understanding your injury. Right, so what you must do, you've got to hold your physio accountable for your recovery. If I could have my time over again with this injury, I would go in with the physio and agree up front actions, steps and milestones to make sure we're actually moving things forward. This is the biggest problem I had. If you don't do this, weeks and months have passed and you'll think, right, balls, I've just lost another 6 months and I'm no further forward in my injury. Got to hold them accountable. The next thing you must do, which is perhaps a 1B to the 1A of hold your physio accountable, is you must challenge your physiotherapist. And what I mean by that is this. The main goal of any physio, obviously, is to get you better. That is their only goal. That's all you're paying them for. I had a lot of physios who would send me research papers and have you looked into this? You've got to really be quite firm and, with respect, say, I am not interested in any of that nonsense. The only thing I'm coming to see you for is you've got to get me better. That's the only reason I'm coming to you for. The strangest thing I found with physios is I was surprised at how lax they were about, getting you better, and there's no real sense of urgency. As we know, the days, weeks and months absolutely tick by. So if things aren't progressing with your rehab, and if you're doing to the letter, which I was, everything they're asking, you've got to put it on them and say, why isn't it working? If it's not working, you've got to challenge them and go in a different direction. If you challenge them as well, sometimes experience I had was they tried to put it back on me and say, have you been doing it to the letter? Have you been doing what I've asked? Which, I imagine there's some people that go to physio and they don't do what they've asked. They just sort of go once every 2 weeks and expect it to get better. But if you are doing the exercise they've asked you to do, then you need to tell them that it's not working. Fundamentally, if you're doing what they're saying and it isn't working, then you need to think about changing physios. When I've said 8 physios, that does sound like a lot, but over the period of 5 years, it isn't really. It's essentially 1 every 9 months. So you've got to change physios if it's not working. If it's not working and you want to change physio, ask them to write your report about what you've been doing today and you want to go back to the start with someone else. Right, the next step is have patience with progress. Now, this sounds obvious. With an Achilles injury, it is not a broken bone where if you fix it, you're good to go. It takes time. This is what a lot of people think Achilles rehab looks like. And this is what it actually looks like. So you really must be patient with rehab. In terms of timescales, it's really not unreasonable for it to take somewhere in the region of 6 to 12 months. Now I know that sounds like a bloody long time, but trust me, I had this flipping injury for 5 years. 6 to 12 months, diligent rehab, you'll have it sorted. Some mistakes I made. If I had a do-over, these are all the things I wish I could have again. First one, not getting on it early enough. When you're young, there's a sort of cliche that, you sort of think you're invincible. Like the parkour guys, you can jump off bloody massive high walls, land on the ground, and you're absolutely fine. Whereas obviously, when you get a little bit older, you just can't do that, mate. Can you? Hindsight 2020. If I knew what I know now at the time about my Achilles injury, I would have taken it a lot more seriously at the start. I would have thought, right, if I don't seriously commit to this rehab 4 days a week. I'm going to have this for years. The thing with an Achilles injury as well is it just bloody ruins your time. Trying to go on holiday with your girlfriend and you're walking around the beach in Thailand and you're hobbling. It ruins your time. So you've really got to get on it early. The last mistake I made was not having a sense of urgency. I was shocked about how the weeks and months just absolutely drifted. So if I could have my time again, I would have a much bigger sense of urgency, and I would impart that on the physio as well. I would say, right, we need to contract up front, agree some timescales and move it forward. That was the biggest regret that I've had with this, is I needed to have a much bigger sense of urgency to try and get it sorted. Right, last bit, things to avoid. Fundamentally, anyone who says how to fix your Achilles in 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 9.43 recurring minutes, anyone who says that, any physio that says that, any YouTube video that says that, there's nothing that I'm aware of that can speed this injury up. You've got to have patience with it. Anything like that, absolutely avoid it. The next thing to avoid is watching YouTube videos about how to fix your Achilles. Now, this is not to sound facetious about this video, but if I'd have seen the guy in the end, I would have fixed my Achilles in about 3 to 4, perhaps 6 months, and it would have never bothered me again, touch wood, and I would have been good to go. Okay guys, hope you found this video useful. I'm not a doctor, I don't play one on YouTube, these are just my experiences. So until the next time, peace.